Rachel will like that we have a meetup tomorrow. This meeting is being live streamed. We have a meetup tomorrow in Colorado. It's in Denver. I actually don't know the location, Rachel, if maybe you want to post that. And I think it's at 4:00 Mountain Time, I think. But if you guys are in Colorado, that would be a really cool meetup to go to. We have a guest speaker, Keston Gaslow, who is a very popular Sub-2 student and motivational coach and speaker and real estate guru. I don't know what you call him, but he's going to be there. He's going to be a guest speaker.
He's big on mindset, Dylan. So I think he might be speaking about mindset. He hasn't given me the topic just yet. But it's called In the Zone Sports Bar and Grill, and then the address is there. So everything that you guys need to know is in the chat.
Okay, In the Zone.
Yeah.
And you guys can just Google that and it'll probably come up with an address. You can.
Well, I have the address right below it.
Okay. Okay. Yep. 15600 West 44th Ave in Golden. Okay, cool. In the Zone. Love it. Right on. So yeah, if you guys are in Colorado, love to see you guys make it out to that tomorrow. Should have a good turnout. We've had a really good turnouts in a lot of the past few meetups. Anywhere from like around 50 people we have is, I would say, pretty standard. So if you can't make it, no worries. We'll catch you on the next one. So just wanted to start out with that. But yeah, I always like to shout out the familiar faces that we see. And then also too, if it's your first time in here, if you've never been in one of our Zooms before, our Herd of Profits Elephant Challenge leader group, if this is your first Zoom with our team, if you could just put a 1 in the chat for me, just type 1 for me. Right on. Bridget, good to see you. Nice to meet you. Maria, okay. Gary, nice. Troy. What is up, guys? Good to have you guys. Welcome to our Zoom. Hopefully we can give you guys some good nuggets today. But yeah, as usual, we always have Sessing and Pansy in our Zooms. Mr. Braxton, good to see you, brother. Stevie, Miss Diana Costain, everybody. Hi, Diana, good to see you. Teresa, always good to see you. And if I don't see you, if I don't shout you guys out and you've been in here several times, let me know. Doug, we see in here pretty often. I think Brandon, we see you a lot. And Anastasia's in almost every Zoom. Graham has been in a few. Good to see you. Dawn, I believe, has been in quite a few. Yvette Saunders, seen her a few times. Ashley, Buckley, and then Mr. Stephen Barcel. Good to see you too, Stephen. Right on. Second Zoom for Ashley. Nice. Good to see you guys. No worries, Donna. The Friday ones are a little bit better. We kind of do more of a specific topic anyway. So yeah, it looks like everybody wanted to go over identifying deals, which is actually perfect. That is kind of what I wanted to talk about too, was like, you know, we get a lot of leads sent in from our baby elephant lead form, where some of them it's just like we take a quick glance at them and like we're like, okay, that's not a deal, and here's why. So we'd love to go over what a deal looks like, how to find it, and also, you know, that's partly underwriting, right? So go into underwriting. And then I saw someone post about wraps too. Ashley asked about you know, what a good wrap looks like too, so we'll go into that as well. So yeah, first of all, I kind of want to go over our buy box, and we need to update this a little bit, but you can actually find it, I believe, in the Herd of Profits Facebook group. So actually, let me do that first. If you guys aren't a part of our Facebook group, we encourage you to join. It's completely free. And we have some good resources in here. So I just posted that link in the chat. If you guys want to join that, we'll let you in. So let's see. It might be in the, is it in here? Our buy box. No, it's in the files. So if you guys go to files, and this is this is the resources that we have for you guys. So what I wanted to show you was our buy box, and it's just going to download it, even though I have it. So I just need to type in buy box. I think this is it. Yeah. Wow, so many pop-ups. So this is our buy box, and it has slightly changed as far as the states go, but these are the main states that we are looking to buy in and that we currently market in. So Colorado, Texas, Florida, Alabama, North and South Carolina, Tennessee, Ohio, Indiana, Georgia, and Arizona. We actually probably market in a good 25 states, but we don't personally keep everything in all those states, but doesn't mean there's not other buyers. So we tend to wholesale those deals. Yep, that's right, Ashley. You need to tell my whole team that. All the cool kids are using Apple. I have a Mac from 2016. It's super old, but besides all the pop-ups, it still works pretty good. So ideally, we look for 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet, give or take. It could be a little bit smaller, but this is our preferred size home. Oh, Rachel uses Apple too. And then our price range. So the best deals tend to come from a $350,000 range or cheaper. Again, doesn't mean that there's not $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 houses out there that aren't good deals. But your payment's going to be higher, right? So depending on the market, that limits your exit strategies. So for us, the 350K and under range is ideal. Again, it's not set in stone. We'll look at homes higher price, but we love that price range right here. We'll look at anything higher. And then entry fee, right? So for us, I would say any cash deals that you guys send us, 99.5% of the time, we are just going to cross that off our list as it's not a lead for us. We just don't deal with cash that often. We have wholesaled cash deals, and we've bought a deal in cash before. So that's why I say 99% of the time. But our buyers, right? So we wholesale a lot. A lot of our buyers are creative buyers. We don't have a ton of cash buyers. There's not a ton of fix and flippers as much as there used to be, right? So we're trying to stay away from cash as much as possible. So Doug, this would be our creative buy box. And so entry fees, right? Not only us, but almost every buyer in sub 2 looks for deals with a 10% down payment or entry fee or less. So that means if you have a $300,000 property, the entry fee should be around $30,000, right? 10%. Some people will pay more, some people will only pay 5%. It all depends, but 10% is pretty much the average. Okay. So whenever you're looking at a creative deal, whether it's subject to or seller finance, right? 10%, including down payment to the seller, catching up arrears, repairs, agent commissions, assignment fees, all of that included should equal 10% or less. Ideally, it could be a little bit more, but try to stick to around 10, right? So that's identifying a deal, right? If you guys have a seller finance lead, right? We get this a lot. We have a lot of people that look on Zillow for seller finance leads, and they send it to us just because it's seller finance, right? But try to have a conversation with the agent or the seller to figure out what terms they want. Because if they want a 20, 30% down payment and they want a 7% interest rate, right? We can get better terms at a bank, and we don't want to go to a bank. So that's not a deal. It's not a lead, right? You can't do anything with that. You can't cash flow at a 7% rate. That's why subject to is so great, because we want to take over 3% loans, not 7. And the entry fee is already too high, right? So it's possible if they lowered their entry to 5%, we might be willing to increase the interest rate to 5% or maybe 6%, probably not, or vice versa, right? If they want a 7% interest rate, well, we need to get into it for $0, right? So it's a give and a take, right? But hopefully this makes sense to you guys that, the numbers need to make sense for a buyer to an investor to make a profit on it. Okay. So other specifics, little to no rehab. Us, including the majority of our buyers, don't want properties where we have to go in and gut a property, renovate kitchens and bathrooms, right? So little to no rehab, maybe like $5,000 to $10,000 in carpet and paint. That's about it. No small towns, right? So I prefer counties. I like to hunt for counties, not specifically cities. And I used to only look for 200,000 population or higher, but I think we've switched that to around 150,000. So if a county has a population of 150,000 people or more, we wouldn't consider that a small town. But if it's got 30,000, probably not, right? We love Airbnb worthy areas, but doesn't have to be Airbnb. HOAs are not preferred, but if a property has an HOA, it's not a deal killer. But probably the most important thing on this, right, is that it will cash flow as a long-term rental, right? So Airbnb is great, wraps are great, midterm traveling nurses are great, but if a deal doesn't cash flow as a long-term rental, it's likely, it's not impossible, but it's likely that is not a good deal if it's not able to cash flow as a long-term rental. And I'm going to put asterisks alongside that because we have sold and bought deals that don't cash flow as a long-term rental. And I'll go into the exit strategies that we utilize. But I would say if your only exit strategy is Airbnb and nothing else works, that is not a deal. Nobody will buy that because Airbnb is so volatile. Things go wrong, So I would say if Airbnb is the only play, it's probably not a good deal. Sober living, pad split, all other possible exit strategies. We have never done, Gary asks if we have done a pad split. We have not. We would love to though. So we're looking in basically where Pace is looking, Florida, Arizona, and Nevada to do a possible pad split. We do have a sober living in Texas, but again, that's not my favorite exit strategy. It's great, but there's a lot of work involved. You have to have a good operator. So if you don't have an operator, you don't know anyone in the sober living space that operates sober livings, it's very hard to get into. We got very lucky that we found the person that operates and has a partner that is providing the money to renovate furniture, all that stuff. So it's I would say sober livings are few and far between. You're not going to find a ton of good deals that make sense for sober living. Do you also have a pool of retail buyers, Doug? So good question. That's what we're trying to build, is a pool of what we call penalty box buyers. Pace coined that term, penalty box buyers. We call them wrap buyers, right? So retail buyers that for whatever reason can't qualify for a traditional loan or don't want to qualify for a traditional loan because interest rates suck. So we call them wrap buyers or penalty box buyers. And we are currently building that list. We have a few in a few different states, but always trying to build that list so we can wrap homes to them.
Dylan, can I jump in for a second with that one? I was wondering if we could maybe see that buyer form that you have too, and then start putting, because I've got buyers and I just sort of like to look at that. We can do that later. I just wanted to know where that form is.
Diana, I'm
absolutely.
sending that to you.
Okay.
Oh, you got it. Is that in?
But I think everybody could
Zoho?
take a look at it. We kind of
No. Yeah, I'm sending that to you. That is not in Zoho. That is in REI Reply.
Okay.
Great. I didn't know we had that yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
we just launched it. So
There
I
we
have two of them. Yeah.
Beautiful. And then Sessing asks, can you explain pad split? So pad split is a newer exit strategy to us. Pace introduced it maybe a month ago. But the idea is it's basically renting out room by room. But you add bedrooms, right? So I think it might depend on states or specific, regulations or HOAs or whatever, but The legal size for the smallest room you can have, I think they said, is 8 by 10, so 80 square feet. So you can edit a home's layout to change a living room or a dining room to add more bedrooms, right? So if only a home has only 3 bedrooms, but it has 1,500 square feet, you could probably add another 3 bedrooms into that. And then you're renting it room by room. I think it's on a month by month basis or even a week by week basis. So there is a company called PadSplit that I think basically you just own the real estate and they sublease it from you and rent it out to individuals, but they will pay a higher dollar amount because they're making money on it, right? So, and there's more tenants, more deferred maintenance, all that stuff. So it's by the week. Okay, good to know, Sean. Yeah. So PadSplit is a great option where we're wanting to pick some up, but we haven't just yet. And we're basically following where Pace is looking. I know he's looking in Arizona, Nevada, and I think Florida for those. So that's our general buy box. And I'm going to go into more underwriting and how to, again, identify, like, how do we find these creative deals? How do we underwrite it, right? Or like, how do I know if I should send this, if you guys should send this to us, if it's a good lead or if it's a dud, right? So that's our goal, is that we are just trying to help you guys better understand what a lead looks like. And that just saves us time, so we don't have to go through leads that just don't make sense for us. So one thing, I'll just close that. If you guys aren't paying attention, if you're at your job, I would highly recommend you try to step away for 5 minutes, because I'm going to show you guys a filter that you can find on PropStream or Batch Leads. If you don't have those softwares, it's not a big deal, but I want to show you guys what we filter for and what we search for. And this filter is probably worth a good $10,000, if not more. So that's why I really want you guys to pay attention and see what we look for, right? So I call this my 80% LTV filter. Okay, so I'm just going to look in Maricopa County, Arizona, and show you guys how many properties are actively listed. So these are all on market, currently listed for sale properties. There's 33 in just one county in Arizona. Okay, so I would say Arizona probably has the most. If you looked at this in Denver, you're going to find 0 for whatever reason. Doug, I don't know if we do or not, actually. That's why we really want to do this, is because I don't know if we have any recent leads that we can show that made it a deal. But I will show you guys leads that we call on that close, that we know close. So this is, if you guys want to screenshot this, feel free, go ahead. This is the filter right here, this box. So we target, hunt, look for residential properties, right? Single family, multifamily, preferably 3 beds, 2 baths or more. And then again, we're looking for active for sale. Okay, we don't want for rent, right? For sale, active. MLS listing amount. Okay, so I target $550,000 or under. Okay, so I'm not looking at anything above 550. Owner type, individual. This doesn't matter. It could be individual, corporate, mixed, trust. All that's fine. Now the key to this is 80% loan to value. Okay, so if you guys think about what that means, right? Let's say the value of a home is worth 100,000. I'm looking for homes that have 80% loan to that value, right? So they have $80,000 in a loan or more, giving them low equity. They only have 20K in equity or less, right? So those we know generate to subject to deals, and we've closed tons of these. Number of open mortgages, I only want 1. I don't want 2. I don't want 0. I just want 1. Now remaining balance, right? So if they're listed at 550, I want them to be at have a remaining balance on their loan at $500,000 or less. Okay, so again, we are targeting and looking for homes in this price range, just not in every market. Okay, so Arizona, there's not a ton of $350,000 homes, right? But if you're looking in Ohio, you'd be hard pressed to find a $500,000 home. Okay. So, what is there is down payment assistance? What if there is down payment assistance? Right. So that's why I'm looking for a number of open mortgages. One, because if there's two, you're going to see a lot of homes with lines of credit, down payment assistance loans, construction loans, right? So that's why I only want one, and the loan types are conventional, FHA, or VA. Okay. So I am only looking for these. I don't want, again, down payment assistance. I don't want construction. I don't want HELOCs or lines of credits. And then interest rate, right? So this is really important. I'm looking for 5% interest or less. And probably I should lower that to like 4.5, right? Anything above this is not a good deal. You don't want anything above 5%, probably 4.5 to be honest. So that's the filter. That is what we look for. That is what we target. Have at that. Again, I'll give you guys another opportunity to take a screenshot of this. Okay. If you don't have Privy, or sorry, if you don't have Batch or PropStream, you can still find these on Privy. You just can't necessarily filter for them. You'll have to try to find them individually. So that's the filter right there. Okay, you guys. So that's probably worth, I just gave you guys $20,000 worth of knowledge right there. PropWire, I've never used PropWire, but you could do that on PropWire, sounds like. So that's the filter for you guys. So those are the types of leads we want you guys, we prefer you guys to send, okay? So on market, and then the other type of list you can do is go to MLS status, go to failed. Look how many there are that come up right now. 166. These are all expired listings where they failed to sell, probably because they have low equity. Now you have to be careful, actually. So you want to go to MLS status date, because this is showing me failed listings probably all the way back from like 2015. Okay, so probably the furthest you want to go back is like September of 2021. So 84. Okay, so literally cut that list in half. So, but still 84, these all failed and they have low equity. They likely failed because they couldn't price drop, because they overpaid for their home and they tried to sell and it's not worth what they bought it for. Batch doesn't allow you to filter the mortgage info with the basic plan. Okay, good to know, Bryce. I did not know that. I don't really know if there is, to be honest, a difference between Batch and PropStream. Batch promotes and says that they have better data, more accurate recent data than PropStream, which could be true. I'm not too sure. So, but yeah, so that's what we're looking for. So if you guys are planning to submit us leads, we get a lot of fire damaged homes or properties in Florida that a hurricane hit, right? And they've been listed for 200 days, and people think, oh, well, that's a great lead, right? 200 days, fire, that's a lot of motivation, right? But you have to think that that property is on market, right? So although they may have a lot of motivation, it's going to be, they're probably not going to want creative, nor may that even work. It's going to have to be cash, right? And if you think that property that's been on the market for 200 days has not had 1,000 wholesalers call them and try to get them locked up at a cheap enough price for an investor to buy it, you're wrong, right? That's why they're listed. I guarantee you they have had 1,000 wholesalers call them and try to get it at a price that actually makes sense for an investor. So now that doesn't mean that type of lead won't convert to a wholesale deal, right? You may just be the 1,000th and first person to call them and they're so sick of it they agree to your price, right? But it's just not what we look for, right? We don't want to be fix and flippers. We're not fix and flippers. We will wholesale a deal to a fix and flipper, right? But there's not a lot of not as many fix and flippers as there used to be. Okay, so and the majority of our buyers aren't fix and flippers. They're long-term creative buyers. Okay. So Bryce asks, is there a lot size preference? Not really, Bryce. I would say we're more concerned with the 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet. Lot size is not there's no preference. I would say probably the smaller the lot, the better, right? Like if you're dealing with something that's 5 acres, they're not going to be as many buyers looking for something with 5 acres, right? Deals, and I'm going to go over deals we're not looking for. Okay. So again, properties that need a ton of work, land development deals. Okay. We don't develop. I don't have a ton of developer buyers. 10K is probably fine. I would just say like 5 acres is probably too much, right? 2 acres, 3 acres, you're pushing it, but probably fine. But anything bigger than that, we're probably not looking at. 10K is fine. Anything, in between 5,000 to up to an acre is probably our range. But yeah, we're not looking for properties that need a ton of work. We definitely don't want properties in war zones. So, there's a lot of crime maps you guys can check into. Okay. Like just Google Cleveland, Ohio crime map or crime zones, right? So figure out if you're dealing with a really sketchy area. I don't get that one actually. But so those are the types of deals we're not looking for. Okay. So same thing, like we get sent a lot of motivated sellers, which is great, but some people are motivated by a foreclosure, which we like foreclosures. And some people are motivated by how much money they're going to make. Okay. So is that person really motivated? Not really. Right. So there's 2 types of motivation, pain and gain. Okay. So we prefer the pain type of motivation, whether that being a foreclosure, a probate, death in the family, divorce, redeployment, right? They have to move for a job or military reasons. JR, okay, good, JR. Yeah, posted crimegrade.org. That's probably a good resource for you guys. So yeah, those are, I guess, like what to look for, what we don't look for, all that good stuff. Does anyone have any questions so far?
I do.
48 people. Yeah.
So when you're talking about the crime rate, you can also go on Zillow and it shows on a property like the transit, like it doesn't have the best transit system near there, or the schools, it might be a 3 out of 10. Do you take those kind of things into consideration as well?
For sure. So like one of the things we look for with sober livings, for example, is that transit score, because a lot of those people aren't going to have vehicles, or they're not allowed to have vehicles if they're in a sober living, right? So transit score is very important. Is there a bus that can take them to a grocery store? So that's one thing we absolutely look for. It depends on your exit strategies,
Sure.
and all that good stuff. But yeah, for sure,
Schools.
crime is definitely important. Schools are, if you want to wrap properties, if you're picking up a property for a wrap, school zones are probably really important for you to double check what are the school zones, right? So if you're looking at this home, 3 out of 10, 2 out of 10, maybe not the best property for you to wrap. Same thing with rents. Like, it's pretty obvious, right? The better schools, the better transits, the better tenants you're going to have. So, but doesn't mean that just because you have a bad school district or a bad transit score, or it's in a rougher neighborhood, you're not going to have good tenants, but it's going to be a little bit harder to find.
Okay.
Let's see. What's the age of the property? Okay, that's a good question. So age is also important for you to look at. We actually just wholesaled a deal in Oklahoma City that was built in 1908. So, but it was recently renovated, right? There's nothing major, no foundation issues, nothing crazy. We probably prefer to target homes built after 1975 because of lead and asbestos and those types of things. But I would say it's not a deal killer if the home was built in the 1800s. It just depends on what issues, if there's renovations that need to be done, all that good stuff. Is there a situation or situations where equity would outweigh the entry percentage? Yeah, so let's go into that. Let's go into underwriting. That's a great question. So I'm actually going to look for and I'm just going to try to randomly find one. So let's see, like this one in West Cortez. Okay, so they were listed at 389 and they 30309. Okay, so they failed in December of 2022. So this might not be a bad lead to call on. But yeah, let's take a look at underwriting. This will be good too. If you guys, if you're a part of the Herd of Profits Facebook group, go to files, come in here and download our LOIs. Okay, so we have LOI templates. That means letter of intent. So this is basically a mock offer that we send. We don't send a full purchase and sale agreement. It would take too long. This is a 2-page document that spells out the terms that we look for. So subject to only LOI. So this is if they have very low equity and you're just giving them a down payment. There's a hybrid LOI where they have too much equity, where it wouldn't make sense to pay them all of it. And then there's a seller finance LOI. So no, all equity, right? No loan. And then we also have a seller net sheet. So most of you guys should have this downloaded. If you don't, again, join the Herd of Profits Facebook. We have no member requests yet. So, and download this seller net sheet. I'm going to fill this out right now. I filled this out for probably 90% of the offers that I send. Okay, so we do have one member request. I'm going to let them in case they're in the Zoom.
Hey, Dylan, I just have a quick question.
Yeah, please.
Is the LOI in place of an agent making an offer for you, or do you send an LOI regardless? So if the agent is repping you, right, like, or dual agency, are you, because I normally just send an email kind of listing my terms or listing my offer, but
yeah.
Are you using an LOI
in place of that?
Yeah,
great question. And there's actually a few points in that I wanted to touch. So I am probably always sending an LOI. And as far as agents representing us, I probably not, again, like 99% of the time, I never want an agent to represent me unless it's a cash deal. The only time you want or need an agent to represent you is in a cash deal, because the seller is the one paying them their commission. Vice versa in creative, what helps us stand out is we always offer to pay the listing agent. So if you have a buyer's agent, that's extra cost out of your pocket. So you don't want a buyer's agent almost ever in a creative scenario. And that's an extra part that helps me sell and close these deals is like, we will represent ourselves. We have agents on our team. We have attorneys and transaction coordinators that will get this deal to the finish line. And for the listing agent, it's basically no work. Once we go under contract with the listing agent, it's little to no work for them. So I'm always sending an LOI because I don't want a buyer's agent to represent me. Now, if a listing agent wants it on a specific state contract, I will send them our contract with the subject to addendum and say, hey, no worries. The subject to addendum is fine. That's all we need. We just want you to fill out the contract, your state contract, the best you can, and we will add any verbiage or anything that we need in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
Thanks for clarifying.
Right on. Thanks, Bryce. No, great question. So, see you, Rach. Hey guys, if you could reach out to Rachel individually about that question, Sean, and iPhone user. I don't see your name. It just says iPhone. Okay, so, and you go through the process if sending an offer and which documents you can send an email. Yep. So I'll do that right now. So you basically waived your buyer agent and only pay for the listing agent commission. Exactly right, Ashley, because there's no point for us to have a buyer's agent. Like, at least where we're at, we can represent ourselves. I have Angie and Dom, fortunately, right? So they are agents and know how to handle these types of transactions. And you guys have us, right? So we can help you. We can represent you. There's no need to pay a listing agent, or sorry, a buyer's agent. BRB, Mickey says. Okay. So yeah, so make sure you guys download that seller net sheet. That is what I'm going to fill out right now. And we're just going to make a mock offer to this seller. So seller net sheet. Where is it? Right here. Okay. So let me go back and look at the property. And if you guys could try to follow along, this leads back. I think it was Ashley's question where she asked, what if a seller's equity outweighs the down payment, right? Like if it's more than 10%, you can't offer that, right? It doesn't make sense. So I think this is a good example. No, Doug. Okay. So right, they owe 389, or sorry, they were listed at 389, right? So that's the price they want, and they owe 309. Okay. So that's what we're going to say. So listing the property on market today as is. So they were listed at 389,000. Okay. And they owe 309,000. Oh, not 309. Okay. So now the rest of these, mine are formulated so they pop up automatically, and I'll go over this, and this will be recorded on YouTube. If you guys miss anything, you can come back to this Zoom and see how we formulate this seller net sheet. But realtor commissions, we always assume 6%, could be less, could be more, but we're just going to assume, again, estimation 6%. Okay. So that formula, if you come up here and go to edit formula, it's the selling price. So B16 times 0.06 or 6%, right? And this time symbol is not an X, it's actually the little asterisk above the 8 on most keyboards. So that's the multiplication symbol. Okay. So that's the formula for that one. The formula for this one is same thing, B16 times 0.0055, or that's 0.55%. Okay, so that's title cost. Again, it's just an estimation. It doesn't have to be exact. Closing costs, that's 1%. So you can tell, right? 3890, 389,000. So it's just 1%. Subtract inspections. We tend to just send it at 2%. This box means if a buyer sees a home, they tend to find things wrong with it and they want concessions, basically meaning they want a price or a number off of their asking. Okay. So it could be anywhere from 0 to 4% or 5%, depends on how much is wrong with the home. Again, on average, it's more of a buyer's market. We're just going to assume 2%. Okay. So this number, net sale, this is the actual number they're selling their home at, right? It's not 389 because they have all these costs. It's 351. Okay. So, and the formula is basically just 389 subtract 23,237 equals 351. Here's the formula for that down here. Okay. So now net sale, subtract their loans, they will walk away with $42,000. Okay. So not bad. They have a decent amount of equity. Now, how do we entice them, right? How do I make an offer that's better than 42,000? Okay. So my next step is now to beat that. If they're going to walk away with 42,000, what would probably entice them is maybe an extra $10,000. So let's say 52,000, something random like $350. Okay. So we can easily show them, hey, look at selling the home to our company versus selling the home to the market, right? You're going to make more money with us. That being said, we cannot simply offer them all $52,000, right? Because that's well above 10% of the purchase price, right? 10% would be 38,000. We're way above that. Okay. So The next formula is 52,000 plus the loan amount equals 361. So that's our net sale, right? Compared to their net sale of 351, our net sale is 361. And our selling price is the same as our net sale because we are paying all these costs. The seller is not, okay? So hopefully you guys are following this. So our net sale, when you're selling it to our company, and our selling price are the same number, right? So now realtor commissions, if this is expired, right, there's no realtor, I'm gonna put 0 because we're not paying a realtor, okay? Title costs and closing costs basically are the same number. They're just copying it from down here. Subtract inspections. For us, it's always 0 because we're not gonna beat you up on inspection. We're not gonna ask for concessions. So now cash to seller at closing, right? How do we figure out how much money we're going to give them? Because it's not 52,000. One thing I take into consideration, let me go back to PropStream, is what is their interest rate? These guys have a 3.92, so kind of middle of the road, right? It's still good, but it's not 2.5, right? If it was 2.5, I would probably offer them close to 10%, maybe 8%. But 3.92, not amazing. Home was built in 1978, so it likely does have some issues. Has a pool, that's nice. So I tend to offer down payments to my sellers anywhere from 3% or 3.5%, yes, as low as 3.5%, up to around 6.5%. And then if they have an agent, I offer that agent 2%. Okay, so that gets me, if I offer a seller 6.5% and the agent 2%, right? I'm at 8.5 total. So that still gives me room to add on an assignment fee. Any questions too, feel free to post them in the chat. Tell me to pause or go back as well. Anastasia asked a good question. Do you wait to get the loan info from the agent, or do you just send the LOI based on what PropStream shows you? And what if the actual numbers differ in the case when the PropStream wasn't accurate? Great question, Anastasia. What I have been changing and doing on my LOIs lately is when I put subject to existing mortgage, I will put a little arrow with a text box and say, we are assuming this interest rate is at 3.92, offer subject to change, or seller to provide mortgage statement, right? So, yeah, I'm just going to assume that PropStream is right. It's usually not. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's, I would say it's usually within a point, give or take. It could be 2.92 or it could be 4.92. So, right. Some agents are going to be like, well, I'm not sharing the mortgage with you, right? So that's why I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just going to assume it's at this. And if it's different, our offer is subject to change. So, kind of got lost. So, okay, so I'm figuring out how much of a down payment.
So you were at 3.5% to 6.5%, depending on what the interest rate was. And then you were at 2% for the agent fee, correct?
You got it. You nailed it. Exactly. Now, because these guys, it's expired, right? They may not have an agent. I can bump that up. So instead of 6.5 being my cap, I would say 8.5 could be my cap. Again, because there's no agent, which we were going to offer 2%. So it's a 2% jump. But I'm not going to offer all the way up to 8.5%. I typically never will unless I know it's a slam dunk of a deal. I have a buyer willing to pay me $50K above it, right? Then I'll offer them top dollar just to get it under contract and entice them. But expired listing, 3.92 rate, not great, not bad. 1978 build, I'm probably going to offer them a middle of the road. So probably around 5.5% as a down payment. So let's go back. Okay. And that's of my selling price, not of their asking price. It's of my selling price. Okay. So I'm going to take 361,350 times 0.055. Okay. So that would be 5.5%. So that's $19,874. Okay. So that's my down payment, $19,875. Call it. Now we still want to offer them this 52K, right? So how do we get there? With a seller carryback, a seller finance. This is a hybrid. Okay, so 52,350 minus 19,875 equals $32,475. Okay, so that's how we get to this net equity is 19,875 plus 32,475. I don't really have formulas in these cells, okay? Because these change all the time. Your net sale formula for us, again, is just your net equity plus the mortgage, okay? And then up here, this just copies this. It copies the net sale. And then these just copy down here. Okay, so hope that makes sense. And now when I go to write my offer, I am going to use a hybrid letter of intent. Hybrid LOI, throw that. The best way to edit these LOIs is DocHub. DocHub.com. This is what Pace's team uses. It's free, 100% free. You can edit up to 5 PDFs a day on the free version. And the next day you can do 5 more. If you get the paid version, obviously you get unlimited LOIs or unlimited PDFs you can edit, and you can add signatures. So it basically is like DocuSign or PandaDoc, but so my LOI, the very first thing, may it be clear and understood that Legacy Property Solutions LLC. So this is our acquisitions LLC. So put in your name, your entity intends to purchase West Cortez Street. Okay. You guys aren't expected to know this or underwrite the whole deal, right? But if you find, okay, like, hey, these guys don't have much in equity, this would be a good lead to send us. This would be a lead we would like to see. So, and then seller's name. If you can't find it, no worries. So I'm going to put the seller's names here. If they have an LLC they own it under, I'd put that there. And then now I'm just going to copy my LOI, right? Or sorry, my seller net sheet. So selling price, 361, 350. 350. Our down payment was 19,875. Subject to the mortgage. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. It's Fairway Independent. Make it a little bit small. And then I just like to put in the approximate amount, which was 309,000. I put in parentheses. Okay. I have to Control X this. And then, like I said, I've been actually erasing this and changing it. So now let me go back, paste that, change the font. And then, so I am just simply saying asterisk, smaller font. We are assuming the interest rate on this loan is at 3.92%. Seller to provide recent mortgage, right? Something like that, or it's offer subject to change, right? It doesn't matter, but you guys get the gist of it. So not just kind of protects us, right? If they're like, oh, wow, $19,000 and he wants our 7% interest loan, wrong, right? So now seller carryback financing. This is where it gets a little bit tricky, right? How much, right? It's 32,475. Okay, so 2,475, right? So how much do we offer for the seller carryback? Missed a question, Gary. How do you calculate PITI if agent is not forthcoming with that info, right? So we are just assuming it, right? So It depends on their original loan amount, right? So PropStream thinks it's 315 at 3.92. So this is their PI, principal and interest, 1493. And then I could try to figure out what their taxes and insurance are, right? So PropStream thinks their annual taxes are 819. You can also double check that with Zillow and Privy. And then insurance, you can just kind of assume insurance is going to be anywhere from 150 to 200, $300 a month, somewhere around there, right? So we're just guessing. You know, it doesn't have to be exact numbers. Can't hear. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Mita, it might just be you. You might have to change something. Okay, good. So I know I'm just trying to get as close as possible. It doesn't have to be exact, but when they accept my offer, now I want to see a mortgage statement, right? Now I need to know the exact. And then Gary asked, how do we get the arrow? Right here, Gary. That's I believe it's this checkbox. Yeah, so just this little arrow right here. You just have to change this right here. So I use this little arrow, or maybe it's not that actually. It might be. It's this. It's this little pen tool. So this arrow, like that. Okay. So seller carryback, right? Now, how much? There's some more underwriting involved, right? So $32,000. Let's go into an amortization calculator. So if you guys don't use one, I prefer calculator.net/amortization. That one's just pretty simple for me. So I'm going to throw that in, 32,000, right? So let's just see what 30 years at 0% interest is, $90. Not impossible, right? They may take that. We have bought a home here in Colorado where we put 10K down and the seller financed us 80,000 probably dollars, somewhere around that, at 0% for 30 years. And then we took over his 2.6% rate, right? So it's not impossible they wouldn't take this now. So it's not as enticing, right? So let's see, at 15 years is $180. That's a little bit more enticing. So that's probably where I would send that. 32,000. So hard for me to say. This is just kind of a feeling for me, right? $180. It's just, I'm just kind of assuming that that would work. Let's see how we get there at 30 years though, right? Like what is 3% interest? 130, right? So let's see what 3.92 is, their exact rate. 153. So I'm actually giving them better than, right? This might even be 4.5% interest. It's even higher. It's like 5% interest. Yeah, it's close, over 5% interest, right? So, but again, it's always better if we can get something 0 interest, shorter term length, right? We're not paying that loan back. So you could do 20 years, but I'm just going to say 15 years. Again, well, I'm not even going to send this offer. I might call this guy later, say, hey, bro, I actually have an offer ready for you. It's a good email. And then our term is 15 months. That is 180, I believe, 15 times 12. Yeah, 180. So 180 months. And there's your offer, guys. That is how you would come up with an offer. This one is hard for me. It's just kind of how I feel sometimes. Sometimes I'm in a generous mood. Sometimes I'm not. But I think $180 for 32 grand, right? It's not terrible. I'm going to copy their names. Come down here. Paste that. Buyer, Legacy Property Solutions, LLC. I'm going to put Dylan Eggers, I would say. Actually says, when you send the LOI, do you also check how much LTR will be so the rent can cover the seller's financing and sub-2 payments? Okay, so great question, Ashley. This brings me to my next point, right? You guys are maybe like, well, why didn't you comp this? Why didn't you check rent, right? Why didn't you check pad split, right? So amazing question, right? You're like, well, how do you know this is a good deal? How do you, like, if he accept this, what do you do? How do you know what the exit strategy is, right? So amazing question, right? So I just know, right, like this offer, I'm getting it for 10% or less, right? I'm actually getting it for 5.5% plus closing costs. they have an interest rate below 4. This makes sense for a wrap all day long. I know for a fact I can wrap this property at these terms. Okay, so now does it cash flow as a long-term rental? I am not sure. So it's kind of contradicting what I said earlier, right? If it doesn't make sense as a long-term rental, then it's not a deal, right? But there are so many sub-2 students, PACE included, buying deals that don't cash flow as a long-term rental because they make sense as wraps. So I know for a fact, right? If I bought this home at 361 and I'm only 20K or so into it, and the interest rate is low, I can now sell this deal to a homestead buyer. It's got a pool. It's a nice home, right? 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,200 square feet. Right? Considering it's in good condition, we don't know. We're just guessing it is. I can sell this home for probably what our seller was asking for it. I could probably sell this for 389, maybe 400. To a penalty box buyer, to a wrap buyer. And I can probably get at least 20,000. I can make my money back, if not more, right? I can maybe get a 10% down payment from them. So I can make 40 grand. So now I'm literally doubling my money, right? I gave the seller 20, but I made 40, right? So I made 20 grand in profit. And then I can increase their interest rate to what banks are offering right now, 6.5%, 7%. Actually, yeah, I mean, that's why we wholesale a lot, because I know this makes sense as a wrap. And I know that a sub-2 buyer, it's in Maricopa County, right? It's in a great area. Let's see where this Johnson was. I forget. This was, it was this one, number 17. Let's see where this is at.
It's in Glendale.
It's in Glendale. Great area, right?
A lot of growth out there.
Yeah. So great area, Glendale. Right. So I know that there's people, I might even have a wrap buyer for this property right now. But if I don't, I know other sub-2 students will or want to buy this. Just from experience, it's a great area. It's a great home. It has a pool. It's 3 beds, 2 baths. It's got a decent interest rate on it. I know I could wholesale this or wrap it, right? So I could increase their interest rate to 6.5, right? So let's say I sold this thing at 400,000 and someone put 40 grand down. Okay. So their loan is now 360, right? 30 years, let's say 6.5 rate. So it's still affordable though. That's the important thing, is their PI is 2275 plus tax and insurance. Let's call it 2,800, right? That's what people are paying to buy homes right now. That's what they're paying. So there will be people that will buy this. You have to market and find it. You might have to pay a couple of payments, right? But right, exactly, Ashley. Yeah. So there was one more thing I wanted to touch on that I can't quite remember. So let's say, Jonathan, can we elaborate on this 32 seller carryback? Right. So yeah, Jonathan, you must have sneezed. You might have sneezed and missed it, but let's go back to the seller net sheet real quick, right? So I ran their numbers through, right? So they were listed at 389 before. They failed to sell and they owe 309. Okay. So, but if they did sell at 389, let's just say, they would walk away with roughly 42 grand. So for me to entice that seller and get a better offer to him, I'm going to offer him 52,000. But I can't give him all that at once. It doesn't make sense. It's too high. It's too much of a down payment. So I figured I'd offer him close to 20 grand. And then the rest is the seller carryback at 32,475. Okay. So that's where I came up with the seller carryback. And then I just plugged it in. I amortize it over 15 years at 0 interest. Maybe a little bit too high, So Stevie, what's your question?
Okay, so I do have a question. I kind of get stuck here whether I should kind of start low so I can have a little negotiating room, right?
Yep.
Or I should go in like, because I will go in like 3%, like on the down payment, or if it's a seller finance, I'll go in like paying them maybe 3% on that.
Mhm.
Should I not do that? I mean, I kind of get stuck there,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm with you guys so I can learn more. But I don't know if I should go in with such a strong offer, or should I hold back some and have some negotiating room, or how should I handle that?
Yeah. Great question. So, and we saw too, right? So let's plug 32,000 back into the amortization calculator. So my offer was 15 years at 0 interest. So $180 a month. So your offer, if you did 30 years at 3% interest, it's actually better for you. The seller makes less money per month, less money out of your pocket. But that being said, right, sellers are a lot less likely to want to carry for 30 years. So that's why I put 15, just a shorter time frame for them to make that money. So really your offer is actually worse for them, right? Like, versus my offer, they make more money and they get paid quicker. But I mean, obviously they make an extra $16,000 of interest. So your offer is better, but that's just not how they're thinking about it, is my guess.
Okay.
And you're right. There's a fine line between trying to get the best deal and locking it up, right? Like,
Right.
if you send the best offer, you're going to get it locked up. That's why, like, I used to be an estimator for a construction company. And if you're getting every estimate accepted, or every bid you send out accepted, you're doing something wrong, because you're the cheapest bid, right? So you're missing something, right? You're missing something these other bidders are not. So there's a fine line where you want to offer the best competitive price, but not overpay for it. And you're right, leave yourself some room for negotiation. So that's what I always think about. That's why I always offer agents 2%, because I would pay every agent 3%, but not every agent asks me to. So why would I offer it? Right? Like, a lot of our deals, the agents accept 2%. Same thing. A lot of sellers just don't think they can negotiate with us. So I'm going to send something low, and then if they want to, we can increase it. But if not, great. I got a better deal.
Okay.
So it's a give and a take kind of thing. It's hard to, there's not necessarily one answer, but.
Okay. So it's really would be better, honestly, to do the 15 years with no percentage than the 30 years at 3% for sure.
Right. Because again, like, I know this will work as a wrap. And one thing that really hurts your ability to wrap properties is balloons. So if I say, hey, I'll pay you over 30 years, they're going to say that's too long. What about a balloon? And now I kind of shot myself in the foot, right? So I'm just going to send it at 15 and hope that they'll accept that. Balloons aren't a deal killer, but it definitely hurts it.
Okay. Yeah, because we definitely want to try to stay away from those balloons at all costs.
At all costs, yeah, because it limits your exit strategies for sure.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. So, and Jonathan too, hopefully that helps answer your question. I thought agents split 3% with their broker. Yeah. So, depending on whatever commission they get, they might have to split it with their broker. One thing I tell agents is, hey, we can just pay you this as kind of like a finder's fee. If they have a different LLC, I've had agents say, like, yeah, don't put my name, don't put my brokerage, put my LLC, and they're going to keep all of it. So, but yeah, some agents will still have to share it with their brokerage. Okay. So last thing I want to touch on is wraps, right? Like, let's say the seller agrees to these terms, and then I find a wrap buyer, but he only has $10,000 or $20,000 to put down, right? I might still accept that if he's willing to pay a higher monthly payment, right? Like, if he only has 10 grand, right, and I leave 10 grand into it, or let's call it 15 after closing costs, but I'm making $700,000 a month, right? Let's say if I'm even making $700 a month, 10 to 12, and it's pure profit, right? Because wraps, I don't have to worry about maintenance or management, none of that. They own it. They have to take care of it. They manage themselves. They make the payments, right? So it's no expenses. So if I'm making $700 a month on a wrap, but I left 15 grand into it, that's how much I make after year one, right? After year two, I'm profitable. Now every year after that, I'm just making $8,000 a year in pure profit, right? So right on. No worries, Brent. Thanks for showing up, brother. Yeah. So yeah, I hope that helps you guys. I am going to show you guys where you can find this. I forgot how to spell Andy's name for a second there. So you guys can find the recordings for this Zoom and every other Zoom that we have done on Angie's YouTube channel. And to never miss one, you guys should subscribe. We are on the road to get her to 1,000. She's at 665. So if you guys could, please go subscribe to Angie's YouTube channel. You can see we're live right now. And then for our other past recordings, go to this live and you can see our past recordings. Cool. Thanks, Todd. So yeah, we are going to call it there. Last thing I want to show you guys is from this, right? Hopefully you learned what more, how to identify a deal, underwrite it a little bit. So if you're still stuck, but you think this might be a good deal, you can share it with us and we'll go over it with you. We can call a seller or an agent live on a 3-way call together with Joey or I, so you can hear how we pitch it, how we close it. We will underwrite it and send an offer for you if you need that support as well too. So where you can find the link to send us these is you can come to community chats, or you could have done that before at least. And I think we've had some issues with the links and we're fixing them. So, but the place I know you can find it is go to Herd of Profits and then come to the featured tab. It's going to take a second to load. Scroll down and here, first one, right? So we've switched the lead form platform, delete the old one. This is the new lead form. So you come in here, click it, boom, submit your lead, right? So today's date, your name, your info, your LLC. If you're a sub-2 student, no. Once you fill this out, it'll prompt you to the next page, fill out deal info about the property, info about the agent or the seller, whoever you're involved with. Try to fill out the motivation, condition, mortgage info. If you know all that stuff, fill it out. The more info you can send to us, the quicker we can go over it, right? So yeah, if you guys have any, I'll actually copy this too and post it in the chat. If you guys want to just save this, I don't think that's it. I don't think that's what we ignore that. This is what we want. So I just sent it again. So if you guys want to just save that, you can come over here and star it and or save it as a bookmark. This the lead form. Save it as a bookmark so you always have it. But yeah, that's it. That is, we're gonna call it there. My voice starts to hurt always. I don't know why. But yeah, thank you guys for showing up. Shout out to you guys. I highly encourage and just love that you guys are here on your own time, your own will, learning how to get better at real estate, create generational wealth, passive income. I love real estate, but even if I didn't, I know for a fact this is the best vehicle to get me to be financially free. I love golf. I wish I could be a professional golfer, but I'm a 17 handicap, so it's not happening anytime soon. But real estate will hopefully get me to the point where I could just play golf all day long. So, and I love to snowboard too. Yes, Ashley, I snowboarding. I'm just not sending it off those big jumps like those guys. I can't do it. So, but yeah, shout out to you guys. Feel free to watch the replay if you missed anything. Our next Zoom will be Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Tuesdays are just our general Q&A where
at 4 p.m.
ask questions Or sorry, it's at 4
Dylan.
p.m. Excuse me. It's at 4 p.m. on Tuesdays. I need to come to Utah, Sean. I definitely need to. I want to go to Cali, Northern Cali this year, Utah, and I want to, it's on my bucket list to go to Niseko, Japan. I don't know when I'll get out there, but that's a dream of mine. So, but yeah, Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, Q&A. So bring your questions, bring your leads, take deals, anything you guys need, we'll go over it. And then the meetup tomorrow, 4 p.m. at, what is it called, Ange?
The zone.
The Zone. The Zone.
In the zone. In the zone.
In the zone. In the zone.
Yeah, it's
you
in
guys.
Golden.
So, in the zone. All right, in Golden. So that's posted on Rachel's channel. So if you guys need the address or anything, just go to Rachel's Facebook and you'll find it there. So thank you guys so much. We'll see you Tuesday. Have a good weekend. Be safe. We'll see you. Peace.